A lot of people focus on quick fixes, but what if your progress started with how you see yourself, not just what you do, right? I'm just thinking of a lot of people that try to force results while they're still thinking like their past self. I was in that. I find myself sometimes there, but way back in the Wayback Machine where I was starting my fitness journey, I was there a lot. That creates friction. And that's why momentum stalls. That's why many people end up in this start, stop thing. You want to get out of that, right? Well, if your identity sounds like, hey, I'm not the type of person who finishes, or I'm a person who always self-sabotages, or I always fall off track, and then you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to do it this time, but secret self is telling you you're probably going to fall off track. I'm going to probably look for a crack and a flaw on the way out of it. Well, you're always going to act in ways that prove that to be true. And it's really not necessarily a flaw. It's just this pattern that many of us have. But the cool thing is you can outgrow that pattern. We're going to talk about that today on today's show. When you're ready, and when I tell people when you're ready, this is for the person who is in that start-stop cycle and they're really tired of it, and then they'll talk a good game, get started again, and eventually drift off course. And if you're like, hey, I want lifelong results instead of this little quick fix sort of thing, head over to talktoperry.com because it's all about keeping your energy high so you can reach your goals. I want to help you recharge and reclaim that power of yours. We do that in 15 minutes. Wow, 15 minutes. Talktoperry.com. Let's create momentum for you, right? So let's talk about building a self-image that fits where you're going. And beyond when I'm talking self-image, I'm not talking about, hey, I just need to have more positive self-talk, think about myself better. It really starts with deciding, what does that version of you do? And so when you think of your ideal, healthy, fit self, maybe you're positive, uplifting, fun, whatever that ideal life of yours that you've got swimming in your head there, you really need to start deciding and making, putting in actions. Like, does that person get up and move daily? Does that person food prep even when it's inconvenient? Does the person say no to choices that drain them? Now, you might have been answering some of those questions and already saying, yeah, but, and you're thinking of all the situations around you and conditions and circumstances that currently keep you from doing those things. Every decision is a rep, and every time you act from your future identity, well, you're teaching your brain to expect something different. That's going to take some time. This is going to take a lot of repetition. But when you do that, you shift how you respond. You shift how you recover. You shift how you lead yourself. This will take some consistency. And just getting aware of when you maybe drift off course or you're making a decision, course correct right away. Don't wallow and get down on yourself and really get into that worry and doubt and having a pity party sort of thing. You're just like, whoa, there it is. I'm trying to get myself off track. Let's get back on course. That works when you stop chasing those short-term validation moments. You know, the ones like, hey, I'm getting in shape for a vacation. I'm getting in shape because I'm going to a class reunion. I've got a wedding coming up, all that stuff. Get rid of the short-term validation, changes there, and go for the long-term commitment, the long-term change. That version of you, it's already possible, but it does take action before the confidence sets in. And I think a lot of us, we want proof. We want confidence. We want to work out for the week and step on the scale and see a big difference. But that belief you've got to bring that belief around before the mirror catches up with you, before the scale catches up. And so when I talk about awarenesses, I realized I was wanting to get in shape. I was wanting to lose my beer gut. I was really frustrated. I promised myself I would never never get out of shape that way. And there I was. And I've been out of shape and getting worse and worse over the years. And I was thinking it was too late in life for me. I was, in a few years, I was going to be approaching 40. That seems like, oh my gosh, you're getting old. How can you change your habits? You're always wanting to get into exercise, but you don't do anything, or you get started and you get off track. So I started realizing, well, what are the things that I'm doing to get myself off track? And so I'd be like, well, I like beer. I like pizza. I like Mountain Dew. I like all these things. So I'm telling myself those, I'm trying to convince myself, well, maybe you'll just have a little bit less of that. You ever do that where you're like, oh, I'll just have a couple cookies instead of the whole bag? But you know that once you start eating them, you'll probably finish the whole bag. So I started realizing that I was making decisions and creating stories around how, I would be like, oh, it's cardio day. I really don't like cardio. I can make up for that on the weekend. I'll probably feel better on the weekend. I'll feel better about cardio on the weekend. Maybe I'll skip it today and do it on the weekend. And I never would. And I realized, why are you trying to get yourself out of these things? As a matter of fact, before I even started a plan, I realized that I would research a plan, overanalyze it, and try to find a crack in a flaw why it wouldn't work for me. Oh, this is 90 days. I can't do something for 90 days because I've got this event, this event, this event. You see, I've worked with clients before. And, well, I've worked with clients several over the years, but many of them will be like, yeah, I want to join your group because I run a monthly challenge. I want to join, but I've got a vacation coming up, and I don't really want to get started and then take the rest of the group down. Do you see how we try to convince ourselves to not go after the goal that we're wanting? I just got that. And then they'll be like, yeah, but I'll get some walking in. And they don't. They come back and I don't hear from them for months because they went and got themselves off track. They literally convince themselves to drift off course more and more. I was doing that too. And I realized I'm trying to talk myself out of even starting working out. I'm trying to talk myself into, I've got to get motivated. I'm trying to talk myself into putting off the workouts till the weekend, and I'm going to do doubles. All these false promises, only to get down on myself later. And so I'm like, let's stop that. And that's why I tell people, head over to talktoperry.com, because I've got some tips and strategies that will help you course correct instantly when you've got those awarenesses about it. And you're not trying to come up with an excuse to justify and rationalize it. Right? TalkToPerry.com is where that's at, because you don't have to keep repeating old versions of yourself. Make the choice to start showing up like the person who's already living the results that you want. The person that's, here's what I started doing. I looked at, what does that person who doesn't have the beer gut, and I started creating these attributes that seem so way out there. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, they probably don't use excuses. They probably don't use rationalizations. Boy, do I want to be that person? I'm like, yes. I want to be happy, fulfilled, energetic, be able to do the things I want without feeling like, oh my gosh, I've drifted so off course. There's no turning back. So I started becoming aware of when I was drifting a little bit off course, and I make a decision to course correct, not to get down on myself, but to go, oh, I'm trying to talk myself out of this. I'm going to show up for my workout anyway. Even though I don't want to, I want to put it over and put it off till Saturday. I'm going to do it today. And then I would promise myself, if you're totally not into it, you're going to commit to at least 15 minutes, because that's proving to yourself that you're showing up over and over and over again. So you start to make the choices of showing up like the person who already has those results. Not someday, maybe, but today, right now. So I was adopting the mantra of just do today. I think I told you about my mantras on a podcast the other day. And so just doing those things you can totally take control and use your power, as opposed to using the justifications, the rationalizations, the finding the cracks and the flaws, comparison, getting down on yourself, letting that control you and drain your power. Committing to lifelong results. And it's not like you got to do bodybuilding competitions for life. It's just getting into that ideal, healthy, fit self of yours that you want to be. Then deciding and committing on yourself, on your goals, and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning and growing, and keep moving forward. Heading over to talktoperry.com. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. You can drop that down in the comments. I promise I'll reply to those. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness Community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.